Welcome, welcome. Hola, hola, mi gente bella, beautiful people. Welcome to another edition of Santana Says, where we talk about everything from Roblox to relationships, everything in between, and the overall journey of life. I am excited as always to bring you another edition of the show, but also I'm always pumped when we got another guest. And guess what, y'all? Not only are we continuing with the male energy and bringing males on the show, but we are kicking off a dope dad series. Yes, we are shouting out all fathers, all types of fathers, all male figures, role models, all them things. Because we need that. We need that just as much as we need everything else. It takes a village. And so we are going to talk about that today. And so we got our first dope dad.
What's up, beautiful world? How's everybody doing?
Yes. And so, dope dad, could you tell us, the good people, a little bit about you? Who are you? What you do? All them good things.
Sure thing. Well, I'm a man of many hats, as you can tell. I'm a father. I'm an educator. I'm a chef, entrepreneur, and I'm just a lover of life. So I try to balance all of those many aspects.
Nice. And what's your name?
Oh, I'm sorry about that. My name is Ricardo Newell.
Yay.
Can't forget about the name. Also known as Chef Gourmet Gent on Instagram, all the other platforms. But Chef Gourmet Gent is the alias.
Nice. And so thank you very much, Ricardo, for being on the show. And we actually crossed paths a couple times. So we done been co-workers like more than once.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So like we take it back. We have actually, so as far as what we talked a lot about, like educators, those who like serve youth and that, we've intersected in those two aspects. So like we've done it, like we said, twice now. But so what does draw you? Like, why do you feel like you've always, I don't know if you had been doing it way before we met, as far as like being in that field, but like what draws you to the world of serving students?
What draws me to the world of serving students is the fact that I had so many mentors and educators who played an instrumental role in my life. Right. So just understanding the important work that they did in kind of shaping my whole development, I felt as if it was a personal obligation and responsibility to essentially give back and help mold and shape someone else in order to be great. So they put it in me, so I feel obligated to put it in others.
Nice.
It's very rewarding and fulfilling in a sense.
I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear it. And you did mention the alias, Gourmet Gent.
Yes,
what exactly is that for people that might not know? You know what I'm saying? What is it that you do with that? And yes, what is that?
So the Gourmet Gent, like I said, is just an alias. I'm a chef at heart. So I do a lot of fine dining experiences, for not only for couples, but I also create amazing, extraordinary experiences just for those that are looking for, a personal chef, private chef, or just a extraordinary catering experience.
Okay, y'all heard it, extraordinary. So if y'all trying to get that extra, you know what I'm saying, razzle dazzle on y'all events, then you need to hit up the Gourmet Gent.
Absolutely.
Have you always cooked though? Because not always we hear the guys, you know what I'm saying, typically cook. So has that always been your jam, or like who put you on?
Actually, I kind of went through a break. I went through a breakup, and then I found myself, as a man, not acknowledging the fact that I was hurt. So I'm like, you know what, man, I'm right back to the game, back to what I quote unquote thought I knew. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I was dating. I was experiencing a lot of highs, but at the end of the day, my bank account was experiencing a lot of record lows. Okay. And then outside of that, I found myself, across the table, going through that whole interviewing phase, with a young lady that, I may not necessarily be certainly interested in, and vice versa. So essentially, they wanted a free meal, and I may have wanted a cheap thrill at that time of my life. And then, I realized, I'm like, you know what, man, this is not even what I want. Let me learn how to be single and satisfied, and just being whole in general. So I decided to kind of take a step back and just focus on wholeness and wellness. So I went on a self journey as it relates to culinary arts, and I wanted to be a self-taught chef. So I watched a lot of YouTube and really just engulfed myself in the world of culinary arts. And next thing you know, one thing kind of led to another. I would have friends and family over. They would taste the food, try the food, and ultimately fall in love with the food. And that gave me a great sense of joy. And then, they would take pictures, post it on Instagram. That would catch a whirlwind of fire. A lot of people would express interest. And then next thing you know, things kind of took off and kind of led to where I am today.
Okay. Yeah. What? So I don't always hear that. So you're saying that you actually a breakup actually led to a breakthrough for you as far as finding out something that could then, be part of your purpose now and like ways that you get back.
Yeah, believe it or not. Yep. The breakup allowed me to really kind of take a step back and put things into proper perspective. Right. And then from there, it allowed me to discover gifts that I never knew that I had. So essentially, it was always in me. It was just a matter of tapping into it and kind of just bringing it out to the forefront.
Oh, okay. And that is good to hear because, like, I know a lot of us may not always do well when it comes to relationships. You know what I'm saying? I, for one, can say that even as a person who speaks on relationships, that doesn't mean that I'm like the quintessential expert, you know, and that I know everything there is. But I think that you definitely touched on a great point, though, that that's the thing. We sometimes get very engulfed in relationships, and I don't know that that's always a bad thing. I will say that as a Scorpio, one of my traits is definitely
Same.
like, oh yeah, we can get into that. You know what I'm saying? But loyalty is usually high on the list, and so I feel like I get very, involved in things and all that. And that actually is why I feel like I've taken my time when it comes to getting a relationship because I know that I get highly invested, and I want it to be real worth it. If I'm gonna do all that, you know what I'm saying? I would like to do that, but I like what you're saying that you can use the time that you're single to actually very like effectively. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be where you're just waiting on the next person to come around or just like what's gonna happen. You can use that time productively to figure out more about you. You know what I'm saying? It's something that you can give. And in your case, like a super great contribution now to the world.
Appreciate
but
it.
like, that like you said, you shared with family and all that. But now it's, now it's been a source of income for you too. So like why not? The bonus of the fact that it can also be that. And so like you mentioned, I know you said that you provide experiences and all those things, but like are you in different places or like where all do you provide the cooking experience?
Yeah, I'm everywhere. I mean, that gift pretty much took me all around the world in a sense, and you can find me all over Cleveland. Not only am I, I'm never really in one central place. I'm always kind of traveling as a personal chef. So you can find me, anywhere and everywhere. Coming to a home near you.
Okay, look at that. Yeah, he already letting y'all know. So, you know what I'm saying? You better tap in, find them.
For sure.
And do that. But then also within the world of relationships and all of that and like, being able to find yourself, I think it's great that you have found yourself and you have these different things now, like that you pour into. But have you had other success since like that breakup, for example, relationship-wise?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like I said, every time I look at a plate, I look at myself. And then just one thing I learned about cooking is that it teaches you the art of time management, and it taught me the importance of really just kind of slowing down. So in slowing down, I was able to really kind of speed up in terms of understanding like what I want in life or what's most important.
Right.
So that really helped me to kind of, buy time back in a sense. So I've been able to find success. I got a lucky gym.
Okay.
So I would consider myself to be lucky in a sense, you know what I mean, rather than vice versa. But
okay, very nice. And I do love to hear that, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to, all those in wonderful relationships, that can be celebrated and all that. But like, what would you say like helps make it like successful now compared to maybe relationships you've had before?
I think the hardest part about, it's not the hard part, but I think what helps to make relationships successful is really kind of just being vulnerable and, being open and honest as it relates to communication. That definitely helps a lot. I think, oftentimes, when you're going through life, you especially as a person, you may hide some things or hide parts of yourself, but I think it's easier to kind of maneuver through life and to maneuver through a relationship when you're honest and honest with yourself and then when you're honest with other people.
Right.
And then just always bringing a spirit of joy, spice, and entertainment to the relationship. So, when you're in a relationship, you always got to remember that you always have to continue to date and have fun, or else it'll be dull and stagnant.
Yeah, boring. We ain't trying to have that. Exactly. Well, no, and I do love to definitely to hear that. But it's interesting that you mentioned vulnerability. So I heard vulnerability, definitely like honesty. Do you feel like that's easy as a man in society to do that?
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, for the longest, it was definitely hard.
Right.
I mean, to me, I still struggle with that in different areas. But thanks to counseling and having good friends that hold me accountable and that I can have, healthy conversations with, I've definitely grown in a lot of different areas. Right. But I think, having children definitely helps with that. Because when I look at my daughter, when I'm with my bonus son, when I see them, I'm forced to hold myself accountable by being the person that I know I can be. And being a better version of myself in a sense.
Ooh. And then, of course, you brought it right there to also, having children and, like, what that does. And so I agree. I feel like, having children, as we've talked about, definitely, like, puts you in a whole different lens. You know what I'm saying? Sure. You can't really look at the world the same once you have children and once you know that there are people looking up to you. Right. And so, like, I did love hearing that. And so, and I heard 2 children. 2, yeah. Yes. So, like, what in the world has that been like for you?
So, I mean, it's like I said, it's a have and have. In a sense, I feel like a new dad, being as though I have my the first child of my own.
Right.
You know, she's going on 2, so you know, still going through that whole infant toddler phase, which is pretty cool and exciting.
Right.
And just watching her blossom into a young lady, it's just beautiful.
Right.
So like when I see her grow as a woman, you know, I'm always reminded like, yo, you got to move differently, especially as it relates to, you know, how you conduct yourself and how you approach women or respect women.
Right.
So that's been dope. And then, you know, raising having the honor of being, I guess, a stepdad is super dope. Right. Because I'm seen as another or a more positive male role model in his life. Right. So in understanding that, you know, his father is not actively around or is not, you know, physically present, you know, I have to assume a greater level of responsibility as it relates to really shaping his development and molding him into a man. So, you know, that's been cool. He's going on 12, so a young teen in the making. Yep. So that comes with a lot of highs and lows because they going through that whole maturity phase and they gonna test you a little bit. So and understanding that, you know, he's not my own. I can't approach him the same way I would approach my daughter. Had the same level of tone and firmness, or you know, my own desire of parenting as I would with him because, you know, different scenarios. So and understanding his background, I have to, I guess, approach it with some more gentle parenting practices, which I never agreed with initially from the start. But in understanding him and understanding, you know, different personalities and understanding the depths of love as it relates to what he needs, it definitely had to. I definitely had to look at myself differently and look at the role of parenting.
I agree. Oh, and it's a journey.
Yeah,
and then, like you said, you have the two different ends of the spectrum. But speaking of that, like, so how were you raised, though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what would you say was, you know, how was it like for you, your upbringing?
My upbringing, it was, I mean, initially coming up, you know what I mean, I lived in a 2-parent household and my parents separated. So, you know, that created some interesting family dynamics.
Right.
But, you know, I was raised, you know, children are to be seen and not heard, and you know, to discipline your child so that way they don't stray, you know, all that good stuff. A lot of my family, you know, they raised me in the church. So a lot of those practices, the elders, you know, they had a way of disciplining and correcting me. So it's kind of different nowadays because all of those same principles and practices don't always apply across the board nowadays. Right. I mean, I try to keep it true, you know, within my household, but it's nowadays it's different, man. Seeing, you know, some of the children at the school and how they approach authority. It's a lot different for most to understand, but you know, as an educator, I've definitely learned how to understand those different personalities and how to understand, you know, where, you know, the parenting that or for my area, you know, where it may have fallen short. Because with, you know, now with today's generation, kids like to talk back or they like to question, and sometimes it's easy to want to pop them in the face, you know. Old school like thinking, and no, I don't practice, you know, child abuse. But it's easy to, you know, to want to discipline them or to go upside their head. But then you have to realize, like, yo, they're asking questions, they're curious, they're finding their voice, they're finding a way to debate or to negotiate. Because, you know, with my son, he likes to always question or to have a rebuttal. And I'll be like, you know, in my mind, I'll be like, bro, like, you just don't know, or you better go somewhere. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? He was right in his questioning. Or it's like, I could adopt another approach. Or it's like, well, you can't really be mad at him for posing that question because it does have some validity. So it's like, you know what? I respect it. Because at the end of the day, he's developing a greater level of self-confidence within himself. He's empowering his voice, and he's also developing, I would consider traits of a great leader. So sometimes you gotta let it ride or allow it to have its place in that particular moment, in certain moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think you definitely agree, because it is kind of funny to be like, your kids was right, but they do be right. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, even though they do that. And I think I agree, because especially with my oldest, like sometimes she gonna challenge, and I feel like sometimes I get taken aback just by the challenge itself first.
They gonna test your gangster.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was like, hold on now.
Sure.
You, especially right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want me to go off right, you know, in this instant. But then I agree, she be having some like real great intellect, so I be having to like check myself. Like, well, actually, she had a point. You're just gonna have to, humble yourself and see that actually it wasn't bad.
Right.
And like, they're not doing that for any reason. And like you said, they do advocate better. Let's be clear. And I agree with you that whole scene and not be heard, child. That's what I feel like I heard too. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids, you should know your place.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so like, it was none of this. I would have never popped off the way our kids do.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? We don't do that.
I wouldn't even been in certain rooms.
Exactly.
I think in a sense, it's like, man, these kids shouldn't even be in rooms hearing certain conversations.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's best for them to kind of sit in these different rooms and these different spaces, so that way they can have perspective and they can understand the world a lot differently, opposed to having Instagram and social media and the internet, create a false narrative or to direct them in certain different ways.
That is true. Exactly. Like, I'd rather they get the information from here and then let me help you interpret it.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I think too. I didn't realize she was getting so much information, but I'm like, dang, if you are going to get it, then at least come to me so I can help you make sense of it and like, have it. Because I do think that she's good about getting that, but I don't think she realizes she doesn't have like all of the things to be able to like make sense.
And then you can't, a lot of times, today's generation doesn't always have the ability or the ability to really filter through things. No. So I think that's the importance of kind of having them in the room, and it also creates a greater opportunity to have those teachable moments together. Because, with my son, he's in the room a lot, you know what I mean? But we always have a lot of conversations. So it's like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? You was with me on these different, when we was out and about, what's your thoughts? Or we always have some debrief.
Yeah. And that's good to be able to like check in. And I agree, because exposure is good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do think that like, it's not bad that they are seeing things, but I do think that there's just a lot of it. And it's hard to reel all that in, because they just have gotten way more exposure than I've ever seen in a lifetime. Like some of these kids. And it's not hard to do. Like you said, they could be in the room seeing a lot of things, especially across the different platforms, like in general. So like, it can come to them. Right. But I do think I agree that like, if we can provide that piece to help them navigate it better, then at least it can. For sure. But I mean, so hearing the challenge, right? So like, and I appreciate that you shared that, he's your bonus baby. Yeah. You've taken in that role, which is commendable. First of all, let's shout out that. You know what I'm saying? So like, there are parents out here, you know what I'm saying, who are raising kids, and even whether they are their own or not. And you know what I'm saying? You didn't have to do that, and you did. You know what I'm saying? And stepped into a role like that. So I think that's dope.
It took me a minute to get there, to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I remember, like, back in the day, hearing, the TLC song Scrubs, and, how women hated on men with no cars. And it's like, that really stuck. I mean, even though, like, I was always the type to have my own, just hearing how women were so quick to dismiss men for certain things, I felt as if I had the ability to dismiss women with children. And that's just being honest and transparent. Okay. But it took a lot of growth and development on my behalf to be like, to really be like, you know what? This girl is doing everything by herself, raising these kids, and you gotta take your hat off, because to know that women are, I mean, at the end of the day, I want to commend all women out there that are raising children, whether you are with your significant other, doing it by yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the real MVP. From nursing a child to taking care of them to managing all the day-to-day responsibilities within the household, to getting to and from practice. That's a lot, man, on any person, especially those that are single parents. I know a lot of single parents that are incredible parents, make sure their children have, anything and everything, go above and beyond to ensure it. So, I definitely want to tip my hat off. So in seeing that really changed my perspective on being with a woman with a child. Right. Not only, did I want to help to be a support person, but I also wanted to play a role in their children's lives as well, the children's lives. And
I appreciate your honesty, because same here. I mean, so as the woman, one of those single women that you just described, which I appreciate, little shout out. I'm gonna put myself in there too. Yeah, get in there. But it's just that, no, it's true. Like, I had those moments too, though, where I was like, okay, now I just feel like I'm probably just gonna be single forever, because who the hell is gonna want to date somebody? You gotta like date me and get to know me, but then I also come with all this, so like, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I made the cardinal mistake of thinking that it wasn't good to be honest about having kids, because I like didn't want to be judged about that. But then I'm like, that's lying. What the hell? How you gonna cover up something that's very much a part of who I am? Yeah. But like, so I think we've all, but agreeably, as you all heard, there is hope. You know what I'm saying? And there are people that will see your value, and that you don't have to count yourself out just because of what you have going on. And if anything, you should see that as a strength that it is. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody can do that.
And just to piggyback off of that, a woman with children are, in my eyesight nowadays, as a more mature man, are kind of seen as more favorable in my eyesight, being as though their ability to raise children has helped to shape their character and their resolve, and they have a greater sense of resiliency. And I just think that's super, super dope. I mean, nowadays, there are several women out there that are, surfacely attractive. But I mean, at the end of the day, that superficial stuff go out the window, when you're grown and mature, and you begin to focus on more important things, such as like the character, the identity, what they believe in, their values, and how that essentially shapes a person. So yeah, I think it's any woman that bears children that's holding it down is super dope in my eyesight.
I appreciate that. And then do you think that it influenced at all? Like, cause so now you both, so that same person that already had a child, you all now have a child together.
Correct.
Was it, do you think that it was helpful to see how they were as a parent first, you know what I'm saying, before having that experience? Or was it still like completely new and all that? You know what I mean? How'd you take that all in?
At first, I mean, like most men, I want to say most men, I wouldn't overgeneralize. But at first, it was like I wouldn't even think about the child. You know what I mean? I was thinking about the woman. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, you fine, this, that, and the third. Like, I want to get to know you. And then, in disclosing, like, I got a child, it's like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But what about you? You know what I mean? I'm trying to get the time right. But having the opportunity to to meet her son, because at first she was real apprehensive. It really kind of helped to change the trajectory of the relationship, because I'm like, yo, she do got a son, and the son took to me like very early. And I mean, it was funny because I remember going to his basketball game, going to his basketball practice, and I wasn't even necessarily going for the practice. It was just an opportunity for us to kind of be in that same space, and just to get a little time.
Right.
And from there, she was like, yo, we thinking about going to Chick-fil-A or whatever. And the son was like, yo, you should come with us. So we rode. I'm like, ain't nothing to it. I can get a little chick piece, a little chicken nugget meal and whatnot.
Right.
And we was there. Everything was a vibe. And at the time, he was like, yo, we trying to go in a ball pit. And I'm just like, you do your thing. And then, but he's like, no, you coming too, bro. I'm like, all right, then. So like, it allowed me to realize like I still had an inner child in me.
Yeah.
And it was like a dope experience. And then from there, like, it was like the weirdest thing. Like, something happened. He had some water on his hand, so he like rubbed it across my face, and he was like, Simba. And it was like it was a joke to him.
Right.
But it was like a super dope moment. I was just like, man, it's weird. But I'm just like, why you just do that? But I'm just like, that's kind of dope though.
Right.
It was cool. It was funny.
Yep.
So that was like one thing that really stuck out to me about like that particular moment in time, and the fact that he really clung to me. So I saw it as not necessarily as a responsibility, but I wanted to be a part of his life since he thought I was, a dope dude, or, worthy enough to kind of be, and not only in his mom's life, but in his life, or at least talking to his mom, because we was in talking phase.
Right.
But he was like, yo, I think you cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, you know what? I want to, support you, at least come around a little bit more often.
Oh, and I was and I'm glad you like mentioned that, because that's what I was gonna ask too. I was like, was it always easy? Like, do you feel like was there ever moments where it was difficult for him to accept you or anything like that, or like, Like
initially, I was living in Philly at the time, and it was a whole lot easier because I wasn't always I was there, but then I relocated back to Cleveland,
right?
And then we was kind of doing like the long distance thing or whatever,
right?
And that was like easy,
yeah.
And then mom ended up getting a job, moved her to Cleveland, and it's like, okay, that's cool and all, but it ain't really hit me, you know what I'm saying? Especially like the relationship, co-parenting,
right?
Until like she moved here in Cleveland, so I'm like, yo, it's real, you know what I mean? Like, everything is real now. The relationship, the parenting, the whole nine. So I'm just like, all right, cool, let me tighten up a little bit.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
as soon as, began to tighten up, because they end up moving in, during that time. And then as soon as everything started to tighten up, we discovered that she was pregnant. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, wow, it all hit me at one time. So like,
literally. And
then it was like, they're like during the pandemic time. So it was just a lot being thrown at me. It was no time to breathe, think. Yeah. One could have easily like turned to a mental health issue, but I'm like, you know what? Let me just breathe and let me, start talking to people, start opening up about how I'm feeling or where I'm struggling, so on and so forth. And that really helped. And then having him here in Cleveland, like that was different because it was the first time like we was under one roof, and I had to kind of step in and be a little disciplinarian. And at times she was like, "Yo, why you not saying nothing when I'm telling him to do something or when I'm correcting him? Because I'm like, that's not my place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Respectfully, he's not my son. So I don't have the ability or to say so to impose or to tell him to do certain things. So she like, nah, like, you have the respect and authority, you know what I mean, to challenge him or to correct him.
Yep.
So I'm just like, dang, yo, like, this is getting real. So at times in which I did step in and check, not to check, but to correct or to discipline, he was like, whoa, man, what you doing?
He was thrown off. Like, hold on.
He was definitely thrown off. And then that frustrated me a lot because I'm just like, yo, like, maybe I ain't cut out for this parenting. Like, maybe I ain't cut out for all of this.
Right.
But, you know, having more opportunities to talk to other parents and, you know, finding those different, I guess, safe spaces or whatever that had an outlet definitely helped out tremendously.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, with any child, you know what I mean? Nobody want to be, you know, disciplined or corrected or to be told no. Because I remember like that, you know, with this new generation, you take the controller away from them or the TV, they gonna have a whole conniption fit. So I remember one time I'm like, yo, it's 3:00 at night, you off the game, it's over with. You know what I mean? Go to sleep. He's about to set it off.
Right.
So we're both about to go at it. I'm like, man, wait a minute. And then I'm like, you know what, man? He can play the game.
Right.
Like, he's silly, man. Why am I tripping? Right. So, you know, I had to learn, you know, when to let off the gas and when to, you know, and when to apply it. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's time and place for everything.
That is true. And picking your battles, you know, like when you can and like when they're appropriate, but when they're needed. Right. You know what I'm saying? And all that. But that's an interesting journey. So that's awesome to hear that, like, how it was. But as someone, too, like, since you mentioned that, at one point it was long distance and then it became, you know, it became local, you know what I'm saying, and all that. And it did hit you at a time where everybody was having life hit them. And then that's interesting that you said pandemic, because I know that means not only were y'all living together, but y'all up under each other. Because we were all, I know, because we weren't able to leave the house. So you're like, woo woo. But like, interestingly though, for those who may be also in long distance like situations, did you feel like it was successful? Like, was it for you at least? Like, can you see it working for people that have to do that? Or like,
with the long distance parenting or the
long distance relationships? Yeah, period.
Yes, I thought it was helpful, primarily because we didn't always spend a lot of time together. Right. You know, a lot of times, you know, with, you know, a lot of today's relationships, you know, the relationship is measured by the sex or, you know, how much money is being spent or, the, you know, the time out. Right. But, you know, during that particular time when we was doing the long distance thing, it helped me to really understand the importance of communication. Right. So that definitely helped out tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, see, and that's interesting, and that's good to hear, because some people don't always, you know, they're not always doing it like by choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, sometimes it's because like of job opportunities, the person can't always go with them and all that, but there are ways to be able to make it work, especially if you want to. Right. Because with a lot of these things that we're talking about, you gotta want to like be committed to that. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I mean, I'm definitely not hearing from you that you were just like half-ass doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really had to be in that, and even, you know, and like you, and I also appreciate, like you said, the honesty of the fact that it wasn't always easy to do that.
Yeah, not at all.
You know what I'm saying? But you did want to, and you know, you saw that commitment. You actually wanted to step up and do that. So like, I think that's dope, and that's also what helped you to then keep that going. You know what I'm saying? To be honest,
like the level of investment, not only for myself, but you know, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But then, you, like you said, the thing is that then you found out she was pregnant. So I am curious, like,
oh snaps.
Yeah. So like, so you had already had all this experience built up as, you know, stepfather, bonus dad, you know what I'm saying, and doing all these things. What was it like to find out that you were not going to be a dad yourself in a different way?
It was different, because I'm telling you, like, it was like June 21st on the move in, like, hey, we getting situated this Saturday, 3rd.
You remember the
like,
date and everything, yeah?
Yeah. Then it's like New Year's, New Year's Eve is like countdown. Right. You know, the bell, the clock broke or struck or whatever. Right. I found out she was pregnant. So I'm like, oh, snaps. And it ain't really hit me, you know what I mean? Because, like, it ain't really hit me until, like, maybe, like, the 7th month, 6th month. I mean, you see the pictures or whatever, you know, they look like the little, you know, the little alien baby or whatever, the little reptile, and it's like, all right, ain't no thing, you know what I mean? It's a gray and white picture. But then they hear the heartbeat, and it's like, yo, this
it's happening,
yeah, it's happening.
Baby.
And honestly, like, it took a long time to really like hit me, like, cause I never had time to slow down. Like, like it was pandemic, you know what I mean? I was transitioning jobs at the time. Yep. Like, you know, they had moved in. I was, doing the entrepreneurship thing,
Yeah.
on a full-time basis, just as much as, I was working my full-time job.
Right.
And then I was at the time I was in the market to buy a home. So I was searching the housing market. Then I was
Man.
closing on the house. And then, you know what I mean? I was doing like some rehab work on the house. So it didn't really get real until like, I held the baby in my hands and I'm just like, dang, like, ready or not, here it comes. Like you a daddy.
Right.
But I mean, and it was like, it wasn't no playbook. So I'm just like, man, how I'm going to do this? How I'm going to afford this child? You know what I mean? What's going to happen with my life? You know what I mean? And then what's going to happen to my business? You know what I mean? Essentially, like having a business, that's your baby.
Yeah.
Because it requires a large investment of time. Like you got to nurture to it.
Right.
You got to feed it. You got, what I mean, the whole nine. It's literally your brainchild. So you gotta take care of it just the same. So like I think initially it was hard because when she was a baby, that's when the business was like full throttle. You know what I mean? I was working with some athletes at the time, and it's like, yo, I can't afford to slow down. Like,
Right,
not
right now.
She here and the baby here. Like, you got it. You a mom. That's your job. As a man, my job is to provide.
Right.
And you know what I mean? As this generation would say, to go get that bag.
Right.
So that was my whole mentality, is like to work.
Right.
It wasn't about necessarily spending time in the nurturing. And then she like, yo, bro, like I see you working. That's
Right.
cool. You doing your thing. And I support that. But you got a child now.
Right.
And you going to have to put that on pause. And I'm just like,
Nah.
who the hell are you talking to? You know what I mean? That was my thought process at the time. I was like, no, I'm not about to slow this thing down. Like, we in motion.
Catch me if you can.
But I had to realize, like, yo, the time is now. Like,
Right.
I'm raising a girl. You know what I mean? Like, a boy is probably different. Like, God knew what he was doing when he gave me a girl. Because if I had a boy, it's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Tough love. But a girl, it's like, my daughter, she adores me. You know what I mean? Like, she literally, now that she's getting older, like, she literally forces me to take time. She'd grab my face. She'd look me in my eyes. And she'd just get lost. And she like, yo, I need all your attention right here.
Right.
And so in understanding that I did stop and I take the time to spend those memorable moments with my daughter when she was so young, it helped to really establish the relationship that we have now at this point in time. And I'm forever grateful that I did take the opportunity to really slow down and to take that measure of investment.
Yes, and y'all heard it. Because, see, that distraction stuff, that only lasts so long, y'all. Stuff gonna still catch up with you. You can stay busy, do your thing, you know what I'm saying? But life will still, like, hit you in different times. So, like, we got to take that time to do that, you know what I mean? And these moments are precious that you're describing.
And, I mean, you can make money all day, you know what I'm saying? Hand over fist.
It will be
but
there.
At the end of the day, like, when I was working, and even now, like, when I'm at different gigs, I'm just like, I love what I do what I love.
Right.
But, like, I'm missing my baby. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I can't wait home to get to my babies.
So cute.
So yeah. So I mean, as a man, you want to be that provider, but that whole feeling of guilt still run through your brain, and like, yo, like I'm not with my family, or you know what I mean? Like, you think about all the sacrifice that you have to make as a man or as a provider. Right. But at the same time, it's like, what am I really sacrificing? So, a lot of times you can go chase the bag, but at the end of the day, like, money, at the end of the day, time is the greatest form of currency. So it's like, what I mean? I want to be able to make an equal investment as it relates to, making money and being able to enjoy, priceless moments, you know what I'm saying, with family and friends.
Right on. Because
it's just a balance.
That's true. Because you also don't want to look up and not have anybody to share that money with.
It's not about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's about the company.
All
so,
right.
You know what I'm saying? All those things that's in the middle of it. Because, when I'm on this whole solo entrepreneurship journey, it definitely get lonely. Right. But at the end of the day, like, I still got friends that hold me down, that check in, like, yo, Rick, you good? Right. Or we support you. We see you doing your thing. If you need something, we got you. And having family to stick by my side, they be like, you know what? We got your daughter, you know what I'm saying? We watched her this weekend, my mom, my sister. You know what I mean? They definitely hold me down throughout that process. So yeah, it's about, balance and being there for the people that's being there for you. And I think that's the importance of being like a dope dad, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Making time for your kids, making time for your family, and making time for what's most important.
I agree. But I am going to ask you, though. So, as a dad of a girl, are you freaked out at all about having to raise a girl in this world?
No, I ain't freaked out because I give her the game early. You know what I mean?
You going to put her on to everything.
She know what to expect. She will know what to expect. And not only that, but when she look at her dad, you know what I mean? Like, from birth, that wasn't the best version. Right. But, you know what I'm saying? Daily, she's getting a better version of myself.
Yeah.
better version of what it means to be, what it means to be in the presence of a real man.
Hey.
To know what it means to be honored, cherished, and adored, to be protected, so on and so forth. So I'm showing her those principles of chivalry on a daily basis.
Look at that. Nice. So now I'm just curious, like, so what goals do you have for the future on dad-wise, entrepreneurship-wise? What's life gonna look like on the horizon?
Dad-wise, entrepreneurship-wise, my bonus son, he a gamer. You talked about Roblox at the beginning.
Okay.
So
yep.
yeah, he all about the V-Bucks and the Fortnite, and he do a lot of substantial investment in YouTube University.
Oh yes.
And I ain't even talking about the educational stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that's, I wouldn't say destructive, but the stuff that's time wasters.
Yeah.
So now, you know what I mean? My huge focus is to teach him the importance of money, currency,
Right.
how to make it, how to invest it, so on and so forth.
Right.
So those definitely, family goals, parenting goals.
Right.
And raising a daughter, she got a lot of gifts and talents that's inside of her. Scenes, I got a little Picasso in my hands. I came home one day,
Hey.
and I started to go, as the young people would say, ape stuff.
Okay.
Started to go crazy, in other words, because I see crayon all over my walls.
Oh
you know
Lord,
what I mean?
couldn't be me.
Beautiful paintings all over my walls. And then I was just like, yo, you know what I mean? Because at first, before she started writing on the wall, she had a nice little the flipboard papers.
Yep.
That was on her wall. The mom put it on the wall, so it wasn't me. But at first, she was doing good with staying on the paper, and then I guess she realized that she like, yo, you know what I mean? I live with no boundaries. I guess she's like me. She lived with no boundaries.
Yep.
And she realized that she wanted to write outside the lines, which means she ultimately started writing on my walls.
Oh no.
And I mean, granted, it was pissed because, you know what I mean? I spent a lot of time and money,
Right.
making sure that the house, was to my liking. But yeah, she started writing all over the walls, and I'm like, you know what? At first, instead of being mad, I had to look at, you know what I mean, the gifts that she had inside of her. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, yo, she's skilled at art and drawing, and she knows how to hold a pencil, and like she's really excited about, art and drawing. So it's like, let me help her to cultivate that gift. She's incredibly fast. Let me put her in track. Let me put her in gymnastics. So, you know what I mean? I'm gonna continue to help her to hone those gifts and talents. And same with the bonus son, same with my son. And but I guess as it relates to sports and all that stuff, it's knowing when to press the gas to be like, yo, you know what I'm saying, you good at this, go for it. But it's also important to be like, yo, this ain't your gift, it's not your lane, this ain't it. Like, I noticed that he wanted to play basketball, and I'm like, bro, I'm not about to be wasting my time out here. Like, that's not your skill set.
Right.
So I had to put him in different sports that, you know what I mean, what he was shining in was a whole lot better.
Right.
Because nowadays, you have so many parents that's sideline coaches, and that's where their kid going to the league. But sometimes you got to let your kid be a kid, or, you know what I mean, you got to let them have their moments, make mistakes, so on and so forth. So just learning, like I said, when to press the gas for them and when to let off is important.
Oh, amen. Yes. Because and as a mom that also has them in like activities, I hear you on that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You also don't want to just be putting them into, too many things that they're not going to be invested in either.
Yeah.
But also that you're doing it more for you than you are for them. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure that they actually honor that commitment and all those things. And that they really do like to do it and that they're good at it. Like you said, that combination, because it also come with commitment. And so I also don't put my kids in stuff that they wanted and that they might be good at, but then they also fail to realize the hard work that come with it. Like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
if you're going to do that, then you better stay committed because I'm paying this money.
Not only am I paying the money, but I'm sacrificing my,
time.
My time.
Amen.
You know what I mean? I could be going to a gig, or you know what I mean, to doing something to continue to hone my craft, or just simply be relaxing.
Hello.
But here I am carting you to practice. You know what I mean? To watch you walk around and lollygag.
Right. What's up?
I got to go to a game and see you not perform at your highest level.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Now I'm out here, looking stupid because I got to be the parent that that's supposed to sit back and be the greatest cheerleader when I know you're not thriving in your gifts and talents or in your own lane, or when I know you're not really putting in, substantial effort that you should.
Right. Hello. So yes, we definitely gotta know. But I appreciate that. Like, so no one to encourage, not to enable.
Right.
But then also help them thrive in the process. So I love that. And so if you did have any advice, you know what I'm saying, for the up and coming dads, the ones that's like you that maybe not even thinking about it yet, but it's gonna hit them all of a sudden, or anybody in between, what would your advice be to them?
Advice. So there's no playbook to this thing. You're never gonna get it all right. Just show up as yourself. good, bad, ugly, and different. You know what I mean? Your kids is going to appreciate certain aspects of it. And even if they may not appreciate it as a kid, you know, they may grow to understand it as an adult.
Right.
But just your presence alone, man, is just simply invaluable. You don't have to have, you know, I used to think like, dang, how can I raise a family if I don't, quote unquote, have a bag, or I'm not able to, or I'm not in a good space financially. But at the end of the day, the kids don't care.
They don't.
Like, as long as they with you, they good. You know what I mean? If it's a winter day, you know what I mean? They gonna put a coat on at the house. I remember my dad, you know what I mean? He kind of felt that pressure as a kid. I mean, as a young parent. But I knew my dad was, you know, in the business of like buying and flipping houses, or had that vision. So, you know what I mean? I would stay with him as a kid, and I'm just like, yo, my dad, he grinding. I'm going to grind with him. You know what I mean? Like, worst come to worst, I'm going to sleep with a coat. All I know is I want to be with my dad. Like, I don't care about no external circumstances.
Right.
Or, you know, any inadequacies. You know what I mean? I'm here. I'm present. You know what I mean? So I saw the good. You know what I mean? I saw the bad, and I saw the growth. So what I mean? Allow the kids to see you, to see your heart, to see your effort, to see your try, to see your mistakes. And everything is going to be all gravy.
Nice. And also, lastly, too, I was going to say, and as a fellow man, also, like, I know you mentioned counseling, a little shout out to that, you know, and all that. But if you also, as a, also, like, so I appreciate the advice you gave as a father, but also just as a man. Like, do you also have advice for others, like, as to how they can prioritize better, take better care of themselves, you know, whatever, any of those things?
Oh, yeah, for sure. As men, we don't like to open up, man. Sometimes we don't feel comfortable trusting people, or we may feel like, oh, we a square for, you know what I mean, for sharing certain things or having certain vulnerabilities, or but nah, it's you got real feelings. That's a real thing, man. Open up, let people know, like, yo, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm struggling with, because you know, can't nobody really help you deal with it or deal with anything if they don't know that it don't exist. So sometimes you got to take the Band-Aid off and let, you know what I mean, let the doctor, you know what I mean, get to it and get to work. And a lot of times, you know, friends, family, counselors, therapists, support groups, so on and so forth. Because I know for me, you know, as a man, you know, I thought I was thorough in a sense, but it was a lot that I hid from so many different people. And I mean, even as an adult, you know what I mean, as a young man now, I'm still, you know what I mean, I still try to hide it. And at the end of the day, it's only, I guess, it only leads to like self-sabotage, or it only lead to, I guess, more pressure on yourself, because you already know that those feelings exist. Whether you try to hide it or not, it's going to be in the back of your head, and it's still going to be like, yo, we got some unfinished business here, or you know what I mean, that you ain't dealt with, some past trauma, or some old feelings, or you know what I mean, and you gotta get it out, man. And I mean, even as it relates to, I know a lot of women, some men out there, you gotta close doors, bro. I mean, I had to struggle with it too, man. You know what I mean? Nobody always want to let go of a good thing, or, you know, old friends. But, you know, if you really trying to build and go in the right direction, sometimes it's best to kind of close some doors, or to have some tough, courageous conversation. So,
yes.
That's a real thing.
Absolutely is. And y'all heard it. Y'all heard it
perfect
here.
Man. But I'm striving to be better every day. But
That's
I mean, it's all a journey. You know what I mean? Life is a marathon. It's not a race. You ain't got to get it overnight. Nope. You won't get it overnight. You know, it's going to be trials and tribulations. But you just know that joy come in the morning. You know what I mean? Shout out to all, you know, all the believers stuff out there. You know what I mean? Had to get it in one time for Santana. We go to the same church too, so shout out to that.
Yes.
But get roped in, get connected, surround yourself with accountability groups, seek out some help. You know what I mean? Find that circle of people that you can kind of rely on. Find that place where you get fed mentally, intellectually, so on and so forth. You know, whether it's church or being a part of a club or organization, or just surrounding yourself with just good peers.
Absolutely.
So open up, man, get connected, and, you know, let it out.
Absolutely. And then, like you said, speaking of support, you're also one of my actual like male friends. It's also good to have them, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, just
too, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just having, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we gotta also cultivate all those type of relationships, not just the romantic ones. Just like straight up, like all that. Yep. Well, one time when you couldn't make it to church, and I sent you like the notes. You know what I'm saying? Like, catch me up. Let me know what's going on.
You know what I'm saying? Your boy's wilding, man. You know what I'm saying? Backslide. No, I'm just playing. But no, I definitely need that encouragement. Sometimes, like, you know, you may get down or just not be 100% at that moment, but you know, you got good friends that's gonna hold you up and, you know, hold you accountable and be there to support. So yeah, I couldn't feed myself at the time, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Melissa was like, yo, I got the notes from church, you know what I'm saying? Here you go. And that was enough to, to feed me, to keep me encouraged, keep me uplifted, and keep me going. So, yeah, shout out to you once again.
Yeah. And same to you, though, because, like, and that's what I'm saying. And now y'all see why he on the show, you know what I'm saying? All that encouragement. But I just love it, you know what I'm saying? I do appreciate everything that you mentioned. And as a man, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, like, that you shared that. And as a father. And like I said, in the dual role of father, but also bonus father. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, we can't commend that enough. But I also appreciate all the encouragement that you gave, because it is needed. And I mean, at least y'all heard it, you know what I mean? And so, like, please use that, because that's what we made the show for, you know what I'm saying? To really just continue to encourage others. And if there's anything that you resonated with, you know what I'm saying, that stuck out and it's giving you thought, to lean into that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's your sign, you know what I mean? To, like, take that and, use that to progress in any way. And then, and speaking of that, if you resonate with anything that Ricardo talked about today,
Reach out, man.
please tap in.
Yeah,
exactly.
tap in.
Because you reminded good people where they can find you.
All right. Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Gourmet Gent, GOURMET. So gourmet is in the food, gent is in gentleman. We put it all together, total package, Gourmet Gent. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a food page, you know what I'm saying, business page, but, I mean, it's my page at the same time.
Yes.
So, yeah, hit me up. That's one of the primary modes of communication at this time. Or Gmail, you know what I mean? 1,000 different ways you can reach me.
Right.
But, yeah, you can definitely hit me, Gourmet Gent, Instagram. And I'll definitely be sure to get connected. I know a lot of people be busy and stuff like that, but I always try to tap in and show love. And anybody that messages me is getting love right back. So I appreciate it.
Ooh, always. And that's how we should always do it. And so with that, thank you, sir, so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
And thank you all, you know what I'm saying, for tapping in, tuning in, listening in, whatever you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Any way you support it, we always going to, appreciate that. And tune in again every other Friday, because we're going to bring you some more. Yeah. And this month is going to be all about the daddies, y'all. So we got 2 more for you. So, yeah, look out for that. And thank you as always. And thank you.
Peace and love.